We are using the 5/4 project lumber from Osborne for this tabletop, so I will need to mill it down to its final thickness since it is slightly oversized. This will be a 30-inch by 30-inch tabletop, so I'll start by cutting 5 boards to length at 30 inches using a miter saw. Once the lumber is cut to length, I'll run it through my benchtop planer to bring it down to a 1-inch thick board. You can adjust these dimensions depending on your project, but normally a 1-inch thick tabletop is a good starting point. Now that the lumber is milled to the correct size, I need to get an idea of the orientation of the boards. I'll start by looking at each face and figuring out which look I like the best. I like to mark each board with a pencil just to make sure I have them in the correct orientation during the glue up. Before I assembled the tabletop, I wanted to add a round over between each seam to give it that traditional plank table look. This will add a noticeable seam in between each board instead of having a solid tabletop look. If you wish to add this to your tabletop, you can use a hand router or a table router depending on what you have available. I decided to use wood dowels to help with alignment during the glue up process, so I'll start by laying out the marks using a straight edge on the back side of the tabletop. A doweling jig is a great tool for drilling a precise hole for wooden dowels. Most tools have a center mark that allow you to line them up on your created mark, making it easy to drill perfect holes. I chose to add 4 dowels based on the size of my tabletop, but this may need to be adjusted depending on yours. To assemble the tabletop, add some wood glue to the pre-drilled dowel holes and add a wooden dowel in between each board. These can be tapped into place slightly using a hammer, just make sure to avoid using too much force as they can break. Once the dowels are inserted, we can add some wood glue in between each seam, making sure to avoid excessive glue squeeze out. Since these will have a large ridge in the middle of each plank, you'll want to remove as much glue squeeze out as possible before it dries, as it will be difficult to sand. Once each board is attached, you can add some wood clamps and allow the tabletop to dry.